On Christmas Eve, as twinkling lights adorned every street and homes echoed with warm laughter and soft carols, Gabriel was braving the harsh Wyoming winter alone. At just 12 years old, he understood that Christmas wasn't a time to relax or receive gifts like his peers. For Gabriel, it was a reminder that he needed to work harder, to do whatever he could to help his mother make ends meet in their challenging life. Gabriel lived with his mother Maria in a small, run-down house on the outskirts of town. His beloved father had passed away when he was only 5, leaving Maria to shoulder the burden of raising their family alone. She worked tirelessly as a cleaner, but her meager earnings barely kept the household afloat. Gabriel understood this struggle all too well, and even at his young age, he took it upon himself to share the load. From mowing lawns and running errands to delivering newspapers, he did anything he could to contribute. That day, Gabriel had taken on extra hours delivering newspapers to homes tucked deep in the heart of town. Snow had started falling in the morning, but he had no choice but to carry on. His thin jacket did little to shield him from the biting winds, and his worn-out sneakers were no match for the icy ground. Still, he pedaled through the narrow, slippery streets, his eyes scanning ahead to avoid falling. "I just need to make it home before Mom starts to worry," he muttered, clutching the handlebars tightly as if drawing strength from them. The road home felt longer amidst the snowstorm. The fierce winds blurred his vision, and the snowflakes stung his face like needles. He could feel the cold seeping through his clothes, but he pressed on. The creak of his bicycle was the only sound in the freezing silence of the town. Then, another sound broke through, the sputter of a car engine struggling to start. Gabriel stopped, squinting through the snow. Under the dim light of a street lamp, he spotted a frail figure hunched near a stranded car, its hood open, half buried in the snow. It was an elderly woman, her small frame trembling as she futilely attempted to fix the vehicle. Gabriel hesitated for a moment. The sky was growing darker, and he was exhausted after a long day. But something in his heart told him he couldn't leave her there. He leaned his bike against a snowbank and trudged through the freezing drifts toward her. "Excuse me, ma'am, do you need some help?" he called out, his voice trembling from the cold. The woman turned to him, her eyes filled with a mixture of helplessness and hope. "Thank you, young man," she said weakly. "I've been stuck here for over an hour, and no one has stopped to help." Gabriel nodded and crouched to examine the engine. His numb fingers fumbled with the loose battery cables, but he managed to secure them. "Try starting it now," he said, stepping back. The engine roared to life, and the woman's face lit up with relief and gratitude. "Thank you so much," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Gabriel gave her a small smile. "It's no problem, ma'am. Drive safely." Little did he know that this small act of kindness would forever change the course of his life. Gabriel stepped closer to the elderly woman, bending down to ask with concern, "Ma'am, are you okay?" The elderly woman looked up, her eyes weary and her voice trembling. "I've been stuck here for nearly an hour, young man. The snowstorm came so fast and my car won't start. People passed by, but no one stopped to help." Gabriel observed the old snow-covered car with its hood open, signaling trouble. Though he didn't know much about cars, he couldn't leave her stranded in the biting cold. "Let me see if I can help," Gabriel said, his face determined. He pushed through the accumulating snow to get closer to the engine. His small hands, already numb from the cold, fumbled with the loose battery cables. Each breath he exhaled turned into a cloud of white mist in the freezing air. "Try starting it now," Gabriel said after tightening the cables. The elderly woman climbed into the car and turned the key. A small rumble emerged, and then the engine roared to life. The woman exhaled a sigh of relief, tears welling up in her eyes as she turned to Gabriel. "You're a lifesaver." "What's your name, young man?" Gabriel scratched his head, slightly embarrassed. "I'm Gabriel, ma'am." The woman smiled warmly. "I'm Margaret. You're such a kind boy. If it weren't for you, I don't know what I would have done." Gabriel gave her a modest smile, waving her off. "It's nothing, ma'am. Drive safe." After ensuring Margaret was safely back on the road, Gabriel returned to his bike and continued his cold journey home. The snowstorm persisted, but inside he felt a warmth unlike any he'd known before. Gore. The next morning, as Gabriel prepared for school, His mother, Maria, called him from the doorway. "Gabriel, someone's here to see you," she said, her voice tinged with surprise. Gabriel stepped outside to find a sleek black SUV parked in front of their modest home. A tall, well-dressed man in his late 40s stepped out of the car, his polished shoes gleaming even in the snow. "Good morning. Are you Gabriel?" the man asked in a deep, warm voice. Gabriel nodded, unsure of who the man was. "Yes, I'm Gabriel. And you are?" The man smiled. "My name is Richard. I'm Margaret's nephew. My aunt told me about what you did for her last night. You helped her when no one else would. My family owes you a debt of gratitude." Gabriel's face turned slightly red as he responded humbly, "I just did what anyone else would do, sir." Richard laughed heartily. "Not everyone would stop to help a stranger in a snowstorm, Gabriel. You're special." As Gabriel turned to go back inside, Richard stopped him. "Wait, I didn't come here just to say thank you. I have an opportunity for you." Gabriel looked at him, intrigued. "What kind of opportunity?" Richard explained that he owned a well-known auto repair shop in town and had noticed Gabriel's potential and kindness. He wanted to offer him an apprenticeship at the shop. Gabriel was surprised. "But I don't know anything about fixing cars," he admitted. "That's okay," Richard replied. "What matters is your determination. I'll teach you everything you need to know." Gabriel's first days at the repair shop were anything but easy. At just 12 years old, he found himself surrounded by seasoned workers who weren't quick to accept him. The older employees often teased him about his height, age, and lack of skills. It was a challenging environment, but Gabriel refused to give up. Richard stayed by his side, guiding him patiently. He taught Gabriel how to disassemble engines, repair basic issues, and, most importantly, remain patient while solving problems. Gabriel worked harder than ever. After school, he would head straight to the shop, slowly mastering the tools of the trade. His once frozen hands now grew accustomed to the grease, wrenches, and screwdrivers. One day, while Gabriel was intently working on an old car, Richard approached him and said, "You're doing great, Gabriel. I think you have what it takes to go far." Gabriel smiled shyly. "I'm just trying to do my best." But alongside his growing skills, Gabriel began noticing strange hints about his past. During one conversation, Richard mentioned Gabriel's father. "I knew your dad," he said, his voice laced with nostalgia. Gabriel was stunned. "You did? But my mom never told me you knew him." Richard hesitated before continuing. "We worked together many years ago. He was a good man, talented, but life dealt him a difficult hand." Those words stayed with Gabriel, stirring questions he couldn't shake. His mother, Maria, rarely spoke about his father. One evening, Gabriel mustered the courage to ask her directly, "Mom, what did Dad do?" Richard said he was very talented. Maria sighed deeply, her eyes filled with both sorrow and resolve. "Your father was a good man, Gabriel, but he made mistakes. He worked with Richard for a time, but things happened that forced him to leave." Gabriel didn't press further, sensing her reluctance. But the revelation changed how he viewed Richard. Was his kindness towards Gabriel motivated by guilt or genuine care for his family? Over time, Gabriel realized that regardless of Richard's initial motivations, his mentor genuinely cared about him. Richard not only taught Gabriel how to repair cars, but also imparted invaluable lessons about honesty, perseverance, and compassion. One weekend, after finishing a particularly exhausting shift, Richard patted Gabriel on the shoulder and said, "Gabriel, you're not just skilled with tools. You have a warm heart, and that's what will take you far in life." Those words filled Gabriel with pride. He began to understand that life wasn't easy, but through the lessons from Richard, his mother, and his own experiences, he was becoming a stronger, more capable person. Gabriel's story didn't end with helping Margaret or learning to repair cars. It was the beginning of a journey, one where a 12-year-old boy discovered that kindness and determination could not only transform his own life, but also the lives of those around him. On that Christmas Eve, Gabriel stood before the giant Christmas tree in the town square, gazing at the twinkling lights shining brightly in the cold, dark night. Beneath the beautifully decorated branches, adorned with ribbons and shimmering ornaments, he felt a strange sense of peace washing over him. Around him, families gathered, their laughter blending harmoniously with the soft melodies of Christmas carols. It was a scene Gabriel never thought he could be part of. a world filled with warmth and hope. Gabriel wasn't just standing there admiring the lights. He was reflecting on his journey over the past few weeks, on the series of events that had completely transformed his life. From the moment he decided to stop and help Mrs. Margaret in the snowstorm, his life had taken a turn he never could have anticipated. Looking up at the sparkling tree, Gabriel realized that one small act of kindness, even something as simple as helping a stranger, could lead to unimaginable changes. He hadn't just saved Mrs. Margaret from the storm. He had saved himself from a sense of stagnation, from the cycle of poverty that once seemed inescapable. He had found purpose, a path he wanted to follow, and a mentor, Richard, who helped him believe he deserved a brighter future. "Mom," Gabriel turned to Maria, who stood quietly by his side. "I think I've found my path." Maria smiled, her eyes filled with the gentle warmth of candlelight glowing in the dark. "I always knew you could do it, Gabriel. You've always been capable of great things." Her words were everything Gabriel needed to hear. He clenched his hands, silently vowing that this was just the beginning. The road ahead might not be easy, but he was ready to face whatever challenges came his way, with newfound strength and determination. Gabriel's story wasn't just about saving an elderly woman in a snowstorm or getting a chance to apprentice at a repair shop. It was a powerful reminder that kindness is never wasted. A single act of generosity can transform not only the life of the recipient, but also the giver, helping them discover strengths and possibilities they never knew existed. If Gabriel's story inspired you, take a moment to reflect and share your thoughts. Have you ever performed an act of kindness that unexpectedly changed someone's life, or perhaps your own? Or has someone's selfless gesture ever left a lasting impact on you? Your stories can encourage others and spread hope to those who need it most. Don't forget to subscribe to Life Stories 365 to continue receiving meaningful and heartwarming stories like this one. Together, let's spread positivity and build a better world where even the smallest acts of kindness can create miracles. Christmas is not just a season of gifts, it's a season of love, gratitude, and genuine connection. Let's join Gabriel and others like him in making this world shine brighter, one small act of kindness at a time.